Muy buenos días, good morning, buenos días a todos. Después de repetir este mensaje en español, lo diré en inglés. After repeating the statement in Spanish, I'm going to share it in English. Good morning, buenos días. My name is Rosa Guzman Snyder, and I am honored to be representing the Community Language Cooperative here with my colleagues. The organizers of this event have made a commitment to language justice. What that means, yes. What that means is that we're opening up a space where languages are celebrated and valued. We recognize that language has been used as a tool for oppression. And today we recognize and we openly resist that by creating a space where we're celebrating all languages. Please note that some presentations throughout the symposium will be delivered in Spanish, others in English. If you do not understand one of these languages, you will have a headset at your tables. Please go ahead and take that headset. Leave the receiver, which is a little box that looks like an iPod. Looks like an iPod. You can leave it after the event, but the headphones are yours to use for the rest of the symposium. We will be providing interpretation into English, Spanish, and American Sign Language during this event. If you have any questions throughout the event or you can't hear the interpretation, please look for one of the members of the CLC. They're placed behind in the tables or across the room. We also have a table out in front next to registration. Thank you all so much. I'm going to repeat this message in Spanish now. Voy a repetirlo en español. Buenos días, mi nombre es Rosa Guzmán Snyder. Estoy muy honrada de representar a la Community Language Cooperative con mis colegas el día de hoy. Los organizadores de este evento han hecho un compromiso a la justicia del lenguaje. Lo que eso significa es que reconocemos y valoramos y celebramos un espacio donde todos podemos utilizar el lenguaje de nuestro corazón. Reconocemos que el lenguaje ha sido usada como una herramienta para oprimir a comunidades y en este evento abiertamente queremos resistir esa práctica donde podemos celebrar y dejar que las personas utilicen el idioma de su corazón. Por favor, mantengan en mente que algunas presentaciones van a ser en español, otras en inglés. Entonces tengan sus receptores listos para usar durante la sesión. También van a haber unos audífonos que pueden usar para el resto de la sesión. Pueden llevarse esos audífonos con ustedes. Durante la conferencia vamos a estar proveyendo interpretación inglés, español y lenguaje de señas americanas. Si tienen cualquier pregunta, por favor busquen a un miembro de la CLC. Vamos a estar atrás en las mesas o también afuera en una mesa que dice CLC y háganos cualquier pregunta. Si no escuchan o cualquier cosa, por favor déjenos saber. Eso es todo por el día de hoy. That is it for today. Thank you so much. I'd like to kick it off to Carly Hare this morning.
Good morning. Buenos dias. Noah. So Noah tatasa Carly Hare tatasa rekirira huda chadix pani yingden chadixi chadix bitewada. Hello, good morning. My name is Carly Hare. My Pawnee name is Rakirira Huda Chadix, which means kind leader of men. I'm a citizen of the Pawnee Nation of Oklahoma, and I belong to the Pitehuarat Band. I'm a descendant of the Yankton Iwankatan Sioux community, and I'm proud to be with you today. I also serve as a portfolio director here at the Colorado Health Foundation. Woo! I keep blacking my slide out. Speaking in the language of your heart and your ancestors into this room and in our community is a testament to our language efforts. It is an act of personal sovereignty and cultural survival. We encourage you all to speak from the language of your heart as we have our time together and share this space. This is a unique space and time for us to be in together, and we really want to hold this space as sacred. It is important for us to be able to be who we are and all of who we are together in space. We want to honor our ancestors and the people that came before us that made our space possible, that made us possible, and that made the work that we do possible. First, we want to start to acknowledge that the Colorado Health Foundation, we believe that keeping equity in the heart of the work will lead Coloradans to better health, so that we across the state can all say that we all have what we need to live healthy lives. In this vein, it is important that we understand our state's history and the lived experience of its inhabitants. We acknowledge that the land we stand on today, because of Indigenous history, is American history and Colorado history, and that this history is critical to understanding the present-day barriers to health and well-being. Before this land was known as Colorado, it was the homeland and territory to many tribal nations, including and but not limited to the Apache, Arapaho, Cheyenne, Lakota, Nakota, Pueblo, Shoshone, and Ute. Other tribes whose territory sometimes extended to this is a very expansive list, but I'll share a few, which included the Comanche, Kiowa, and Dene. Recognizing in many circles that this space was the crosslands of Indian country. Colorado was a site of trade, travel, gathering, spiritual healing for many tribes, and is currently the home to over 100,000 American Indians, Alaska Natives, including 2 federally recognized tribes, the Southern Ute tribe in Ignacio and the Ute Mountain Ute tribe in Towak. It is important in our collective responsibility to be mindful of acknowledging the history and the experiences of Native peoples and the impact of these communities and well-being. As a foundation, we are committed to continuing to learn and build, exploring ways to collaborate with Native communities. I personally have a connection to this space and land. My tribal communities are Pawnee and Yankton, and we travel through these territories for trading, for hunting, in what we currently call Colorado. Today we are sharing this space and the intention to explore people-powered transformation together. Over the next 3 days, we will be together building relationships, exploring power and opportunity. This time we share is sacred. Each of us is sacrificing something to be together. That is, whether it's time with your families, time in your community, time away from your work. It is time for us to hold each other. We never will be this unique configuration of people ever again. It is a blessing for us to be together in this space together. And so as part of that blessing, let us take a moment to offer gratitude to those who make it possible. The people we've left at home, whether in our homes or in our work and in our community. The people that are taking care of us here in Keystone. There are so many folks that make this event possible. There are so many people in the community that make this event possible, so thank you to them. And the people who came before us. As an act of tribute and dedication to the sacred space we're holding together, we encourage you to be present in that, to name that and call that in. We will be sharing in the main space 2 dedication and commitment spaces for you to think about. You will see the blue blanket on the side of me, it's the tribute blanket. There we encourage you to think about naming of the ancestors who made your work possible, people who are standing in for you now to allow you to be here today. It's a place to tribute and honor those in your life and those who have come before us. We also want to make sure that we think about the road ahead. So the red and black blanket will be our blanket to name our dedication and our commitments moving forward. It's a place to set your intentions and to move forward. There'll be instructions of how to do these outside, but just wanted to let you see them and recognize them when you see them out in the shared space. It is important that this sacred space will be filled with discussion, with moments to grow, with challenges to grapple with connections to people. It often will be filled with deep, thoughtful moments, hopefully some laughter, possibly some tears as we move through. We encourage you to get what you need from this space and to accept what you can out of the sacred space we've created. I will have a smudge available at break outside on the patio if anyone wants to smudge as we start in that space. Please feel free to join us. But what I want to name as well is that sacred space is so many things, but it is also joy and celebration. And to get us started with joy and celebration and connection today, I'm excited to bring up to the stage Alejandro Perez Jr.
Good morning, beautiful people. How are you? My name is Alejandro Perez Jr., a.k.a. Alex, a.k.a. Biddy, a.k.a. Cadillac, a.k.a. Dirty Red, a.k.a. Handito. And depending on when you met me and how you met me, one of those names would have been received. And in Capoeira, they call me Boje Cantador, which means old singing goat. Today, I will be your engagement guru. I am here representing a company called Journeyman Inc., and we are a production company that specializes in creating safe space for authentic connection. So I want to start off with putting 5 fingers high in the sky, and I want you to repeat this word after me. Everybody say power. Power. Everybody say people. People. Organize. Willing. Energy. Right. So you're here to represent power. And I want to tell you a little bit about my story. So I'm going to ask you to put 5 fingers up, and I want you to say this mantra with me. Everybody say, my voice has power to speak my truth and share my light. I speak English because my mother's from Dallas, Texas. Eau Claire, that's my hood. And my father is from Puerto Rico. So la mano izquierda levanta así, se dice en español. Lift your left hand and say this with me. Mi voz tiene poder para hablar mi verdad y compartir mi luz. Now I need you to shake out both hands like so. Now we're going to say it in Spanish and English. Wake up the right and left brain at the same time. Everybody say, my voice, mi voz, has power, tiene poder, to speak, para hablar, my truth, mi verdad, and share, y compartir, my light, mi luz, my light, mi luz, light, luz, light, loose. We keep it light and loose. All right. So in the spirit of keeping it light and loose, todos los gentes levantanse, por favor. Everybody stand up out of your seats. We're going to log into our bodies. Before I ask you to do anything beyond these moments here, I want to teach you 3 basic stretches, and I'm going to add some others to it. All right? The first stretch we're going to do is called the washing machine. Everybody say washing machine. Now you're going to put your feet flat on the floor. Let them be about shoulder width. Do not lock your legs because the blood can flow. Kind of similarly bend your knees. And what we're going to do is we're going to sway our arms from right to left. While doing so, I'm going to be accompanying you with a beatbox. So you're going to move to the rhythm of the beat from my face. All right? With that being said, let's start with the washing machine. Let's go. Five, 6, 7. Now pivot on the ball. Turn a little deeper. All right. That was called the washing machine, yes? Now, the next movement we're going to do is called a tick-tock. Everybody say tick-tock. Not tick-tock like on social media, but tick-tock like the metronome. So you're going to reach down, you're going to touch the right knee like so, and then you're going to touch the other side like so. And the spirit of beatbox, let's get it going. Don't hurt yourself now. A little faster. All right, not too bad. The last stretch we're going to do is called the cat-cow, all right? So you're going to be engaging your hip flexors and allowing your chin to touch your chest like so. You're going to go like this, and you're going to create an arch in your back. That's going to be the cat. Then you're going to open up your chest and allow the back of your head and lift your tailbone. That's going to be cow. Got it? Now, I'm going to beatbox and try to say cat-cow at the same time. I don't know if it's going to happen. We're going to try to make it happen. All right, here we go. Cat, cow, cat, cow. Don't forget the beat, cat. Cat, cat, Cow, inhale on cow. And 5, 6, 7, and relax. All right, you should have tension in your shoulders now. I want you to take your right arm, put it out like so. Take it across your body. Scoop under with your left arm. Take a deep breath in and blow it out. Deep breath in and blow it out. Deep breath in and blow it out. Now take that left arm, put it out in front of you. Go across your body, hook under with your right. Deep breath in and blow it out. Deep breath in, blow it out. Deep breath in and blow it out. All right. Now I'm going to invite everyone to have a seat. Take a seat back down. And we're going to play a little game. Y'all ready for this game? Now, it's a very simple game. It's one of my favorite games to play. It's called Body Percussions. It's one simple rule. When my rhythm stops, your rhythm drops. I said, when my rhythm, your rhythm. When my rhythm, your rhythm. Now, we're going to see if we can do this in real time. For the rhythmically challenged people in the room, I'd like to apologize to you in advance. So with that being said, we're going to get started with our hands. I'm upset with half the people in the room. I said with my rhythm, your rhythm. When my rhythm, your rhythm cannot drop into my rhythm. All right, I think we got it now. Let's try it. All right, give yourselves a hand. Y'all didn't do bad at all. Now I'm going to invite one of my very favorite ancestors into the room. His name is Cab Calloway. Some of you might know who he is. Some of you don't know who he is. Shame on you. Because this man understood the power of voice during a time where the social, economic stance was divided in the Americas, but he brought a room full of people, no matter your racial, ethnic background or your social, economic situation. He brought us together with the spirit of voice, power, and community. So I want you to all take a deep breath in together and then blow it out. Deep breath in and blow it out. Deep breath in and blow it out. Now I want you to take your right hand, put it on your forehead like so. And I want you to say these words. Say melody, memory. Melody, stay with me. All right, now you have agreed to stay with the melody. Now the same rule applies to the melody memory. When my melody stops, your melody. When my melody, your melody. Let's see if we can do this in real time. I'm a little parched up here, so I'm trying to get it together. Swallow a little saliva, get it right. Here we go. Deep breath in. Adi, 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 ah. Adi, 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 oh. Adi, di, di. Adi, 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 eh. Adi, ah, ah, ah. Adi, 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 oh. Adi, di, di. Say, say, ho, ho. try. Ha, 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 ho, ho, ho. Say, ooh. Say, ha. Say, hey, 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 ha. Say, ay, 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 ay. Say, zippity bippity boppity 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 bo. Say, eh, 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 eh. Say, I like it. Let me hear you say, we are ready. We are ready. Say, we can feel the vibe. We can feel the vibe. Say, we are ready. Say, we can vibe this one try. We can vibe this one try. Say, I am the rhythm. I am the rhythm. I am the vibe. I am the vibe. We are together. We are together. We are one tribe. We are one tribe. I am the rhythm. I am the vibe. We are together. We are one tribe.
Okay, Alejandro, come back. Alejandro was at our office. Alejandro was at our office and did some of these things with us. Now, you cannot let them off without doing this thing.
Well, I mean, they told me I had 12
Well, I'm
minutes.
telling you,
Okay.
we got 5 minutes to do that.
5 minutes to do that?
Uh-huh.
Are they saying the mantra with it or just doing the rhythm?
Let's see if they're capable of doing both.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you the mantra. Remember the mantra we started with? Everybody said, my voice has power to speak my truth and share my light. Y'all know the rule: when my melody stops, your melody drops, right? All right, let's see if you can do that in real time. I want you to say, my voice has power to speak my truth and share my light. Your turn.
My voice has power to speak my truth and share my light.
All right, you have that in your body. Now I'm going to give you a rhythm. Everybody say lap, lap. Clap, clap.
Clap, clap.
Snap, snap.
Snap, snap.
Clap, clap.
Clap, clap.
Now what you're going to do is you're going to go lap, lap, clap, clap, snap, snap, clap, clap 4 times around. After that,
Now make them stand up and do
I'm
it.
gonna
Like
make
you
them
make
do it.
them.
I need to download it too.
Look, okay.
Okay, you're gonna go lap, lap, clap, clap, snap, snap, clap, clap 4 times around. And then we're gonna jump with my voice has power to speak my truth and share my life. Then I'm going to say the word voice. You won't repeat it, you'll spell it in real time. Let's just see if we can practice that real quick. Spell the word voice. V-O-I-C-E. Now power. P-O-W-E-R. Now speak. S-P-E-A-K. Now truth. T-R-U-T-H. Now the word light is special. You're gonna spell the word light and add the line. And I'm gonna let it shine. Let's try it. Light, L-I-G-H-T. And I'm gonna let it shine. Then I'm gonna say who has the power. You will silently say I have the power. Who has the power?
I have the
And I'm
power.
gonna say how will you use it? You will say I will use it well. How will you use it? I will use it well. Now we're gonna put the rhythm with the melody so we can have S-O and G. Everybody on your feet? All right. 5, 6, 7, everybody. Lap, lap, clap, clap, snap, snap, clap, clap, lap, lap, clap, clap, snap, snap, clap, clap, lap, lap, clap, clap, snap, snap, clap, clap. 5, 6, 7, my voice has power to speak my truth and share my light. 3 more times for the mind. My voice has power to speak my truth and share my light. 2 more times for the mind. My voice has power to speak my truth and share my light. 1 more time for the mind. My voice has power to speak my truth and share my light. Left brain, voice, V-O-I-C-E. Now power, P-O-W-E-R. Now speak, S-P-E-A-K. Now truth, T-R-U-T-H. Now light, L-I-G-H-T. And I'm gonna let it shine. Question, who has the power?
I have the power.
How will you use it?
I
will
use
use
it
it
well.
well. I said, who has the power?
I have the power.
How will you use it?
I'll use it well.
Say there's power in the spoken word. Everybody.
There's power in the spoken word.
Say, I have a right to be heard.
I have a right to be heard.
Say there's power in the spoken word.
There's power in the spoken word.
Say, I have a right to be heard.
I have the right to be heard.
Say, first I see it,
First I see it,
then I say it,
then I say it,
then I do it.
then I do it.
This is the movement.
This is a movement.
Say, first I see it,
First I see it,
then I say it,
then I say it,
then I do it.
then I do it.
This is music.
This is music.
5. Count down on the left. Tell me what comes after 5, y'all. 4. Count down on the left. Tell me what comes after 4, y'all. 3. Count down on the left. Tell me what comes after 3, y'all. 2. Tell me what comes after 2 on the lap, y'all. 1. Tell me what is the final number on the lap, y'all. 0. I need you to turn around and high five somebody and say, we did it, y'all. We did it.
Thank you. All right, this is a high five for everybody. Y'all did good. So good morning. Everybody's awake now. Thank you to Alejandro, thank you to Carly, thank you to Community Language Cooperative, thank you to our signers, thank you to the staff, thank you for you all for being here. I'm Karen McNeil Miller, and I have the delight and pleasure to be the CEO of the Colorado Health Foundation. So welcome to the 2023 Colorado Health Symposium extravaganza. So I get a few minutes at the start to kind of tell you about the foundation, tell you what we've been up to, and then introduce you to our theme for the year. Now, we have a lot of attendees. There are over 600 of you registered. Yay. So raise your hand if this is your first time at the symposium. Look at that. Wonderful. So everybody who's been here before, you have a lot of new people to meet. And those of you who've never been here, you got a buku people to meet. And we have plenty of opportunity for you to do that. So I'm so glad you're all here. We also have some policymakers in the House, and I know they are delighted and want to hear from you. And if you see these folks, be sure and talk to them. Find out what they're doing in their respective roles, most of them from the state. Particularly those of you in rural communities who may not get as much access to the folks that call Denver under the dome home. So feel free to do that. I'm excited about that. So since we have so many folks that are new, I always want to just remind you of who we are at the Colorado Health Foundation. And I want to take it for granted that everyone is intimately familiar with us. And as you heard Carly say, what we want, what we work for every day is that we want every person, every community, every family in Colorado to be able to say, we have everything we need to live a healthy life. And that gets decided by them. They get to decide what they need to live a healthy life. And we want them to be able to have access, availability to all of those things in their community. And so we work alongside many of you and with so many others to try to provide that for folks. We believe that health is a right, a basic human right. We exist for Coloradans, but we focus on Coloradans who have historically had little power or privilege. And I say historically because the whole point is to change that, right? Who have historically had little power or privilege, who find themselves living with low income, and we prioritize people of color. Not exclusively, but prioritize because the data tell us that those greatest inequities exist amongst communities of color. So that's what we're about, and we are committed to everything we do is in the pursuit of health equity, and that we want to be informed by, at a minimum, informed by the communities that we are in service to, for, and with. So that's a little bit about the foundation. You'll learn more as we go along. But to kind of introduce this notion of people power. Why people power? Because that's where all change starts and ends, with people. No improvement, no change, no advancement in the history of the universe happens without people powering it, without people thinking of it, without people mobilizing to make it happen, without people putting their brains to it and the resources they have around them. So we want to help you in your efforts of utilizing power, of claiming the power that you already have, of reclaiming the power that so many people and institutions try to take away from you, of reclaiming the power that so many people tell you you don't have, sometimes so much so that you start to believe it yourself. So that's why people power. Recently, I asked our board of trustees, our board of directors, what they were hearing in the community about the foundation. Some of what they said were there was some curiosity. Well, there's been a lot of change at the foundation. It's not the foundation we knew 10 years ago. There's been a lot of change. Is that change going to keep happening? Has it settled down? That's a reasonable question. People are asking how we've fared since COVID. It's a reasonable question. And then there were some themes that were the same theme regardless of from whom it came. It's just it might have been interpreted differently depending on who it came from. So people are talking about their funding strategy has changed. They're funding different organizations and more organizations than they were in the past. That's true. That's a true statement. Now, for some organizations, some mainstream, large organizations, that means that some of their funding may have decreased. It means that as we understand more about power and what it takes to move a community, what it takes to create social change, what it takes to create racial justice, we find that some of those organizations and institutions that we had historically funded really aren't serving the community, aren't well received in the community, extract from the community. And so that notion that they're funding differently when it comes from that group is meant as a criticism. But when you say we're funding differently and we say, yes, well, if that means we're funding more grassroots, community-based organizations, yes, that's true, and that's a good thing. When they say that focus of the prioritizing people of color means you're funding so many more BIPOC-led, BIPOC-serving organizations that have historically been completely underrepresented and ignored in philanthropy, yes, that's true. And to us, that's a good thing. And when they say, well, you know, the foundation is taking stands and saying things they hadn't said before. The foundation's been very straightforward in our desire to help disrupt discriminatory, institutional, racist practices, whether they are intentional or unintentional, and to work alongside you to disrupt those systems so that you can go in and do the work that you're trying to do. So on one hand, that's, well, I'll just talk about white supremacy, I'll just talk about racial justice. Has the foundation gotten too woke? So that's a criticism, that we've become too woke. Now we take it, it's like, yeah, that's right. And we are, you know, is it too woke that we believe that every woman should have the full suite of reproductive services, of family planning available to her, including abortion? If that's too woke, then yes, we're too woke. If we believe that systems still exist, again, whether intentional or unintentional, and many are intentional, to take power away from BIPOC communities, to take power away from rural communities, to have people believe the narrative, to have people not take care of themselves because it benefits somebody else. So if all of those, if believing that and working towards undoing that makes us too woke, then we're proudly too woke. And so that's why people power. We want to use our power to help you regain, take, utilize, exploit your power and gain more of it. Some other examples of people power. Last week I did one of my, what I call a road trip, and I was in Routt, Jackson, Moffett, and Grand County. And I took, you know, I'm going to show you some pictures. I was there for 4 days, but I only remember to take pictures on one day. So you're going to see pictures. So I met with some folks who are also claiming their power. This is a group of women and a man, and some representative of a leadership group, a Latinx leadership group in their community. And their whole goal is to claim the power that's theirs. My interpretation of their mission is that there is no table at which we don't belong. And so what they're doing is the word they use was penetrating existing power structures. I choose the word infiltrating. existing power structures, getting on those boards of those power structures, getting on those councils. Hopefully some of them will end up running for local office. But they're an example of some of the power. These two photos, and it's on your left, there's a community, and housing is on everybody's mind. Lack of housing, affordable housing is on everyone's mind. This is a group that took it in their own hands, worked for some time, and got a local rancher to donate 524 acres. And they are going to build a community that any of us would be proud to live in. But it is aimed at essential workers, teachers, firefighters, peace officers, and folks who find themselves living with low income. They're going to create a community that any of us would be happy to live in. That's people claiming their power, gaining some power, using their power to bust up discriminatory systems. The other photo is the women working in their community. They're all leaders in different organizations. But they come together to try to also think about how can we influence the city council? How can we influence county government? How can we get even our organizations to embrace an equity agenda even more so than it already is? So some examples of power that I saw, and I also saw some examples of folks who, for all intents and purposes, should feel powerless, yet they persist. They continue to try to find a way around it. So that's why people power. And so this notion of equity, I think we have to ask ourselves, is this a moment or is this a movement? Is this a trend or are we in the trenches? You all know, are well aware that over the last several years, many for-profit, nonprofit organizations have adopted have said they have adopted an equity agenda, right? Nonprofits too. I'm sure you all put out statements after George Floyd, what all you were going to do when everything showed during COVID that all of us already knew. You saw those statements. An organization I used to work for, the Center for Creative Leadership, did a study where they took the Fortune 500 companies and all of them made statements about equity and advancing equity, being anti-racist organizations. So they looked at all those organizations at what they said they would do. And then they went back in 2022 and looked to see how much of that they'd done. Less than 10% of them had anything resembling a demonstrable change or activity that could lead to change. I wonder what that study would look like if we were looking at nonprofits. Might be about the same. And I'd say it'd be about the same for philanthropy as well. But we're in it for the long haul. We have to be in it for the long haul. All of those, at the time I thought I was like, oh man, the tide is going to shift because all these folks are now getting it. They finally got it. But then we saw it was just the trend, it was just for the moment. And I remember thinking to myself, okay, it's still just us. It's always been just us. So just us, got to keep going, got to keep moving. So we're in this for the long haul. For us, it's and philanthropy bends to the trend very often. and doesn't ever really get to the core of power dynamics, doesn't really get to the central pieces of discriminatory practices that many foundations in the US were based on. You know, where'd the wealth come from that created, and on whose backs was that wealth created? So we want to be in this for the long term. A few months ago, we had our At the Heart of the Matter series, and I got to talk with Eric Liu, who's the president of Citizens University. And he talks about civic power. And he talks about, you know, people think of power as a dirty word. He doesn't want us to think of it that way. He wants us to think of it as our opportunity and our gift. So there's a 5-minute clip I'm going to show you from that conversation.
We talked about years ago when I was with you last, we have this conception in our work that to understand citizenship in this broader, capacious sense as through this equation, which is power plus character equals citizenship. That to live like a citizen in this deeper sense requires both a fluency in power and a grounding in civic character, kind of the values and norms of being not just for oneself. And on the power half of that equation, which I think is the focus of both, you know, what we're talking about here today, but what you all are building toward in your symposium in July, we define power in a very simple way, which is power is a capacity to ensure that others do as you would like them to do. And for some people, that definition is a little bit like, ew, that's kind of yucky, right? That sounds like manipulation and, you know, domination and, you know, Game of Thrones or House of Cards or some kind of, you know, scheming. But if we are just honest, you don't even have to get that real, just honest about kind of looking around at our lives in every circle of our lives, every circle of relationship, whether it's civic or work or family or neighbor or, you know, faith community or whatever it might be. We are human, and humans are wired always to want other humans to do as we would like them to do. That's just what it means to be a social animal. And that capacity, when brought to bear on questions of common concern in public life and civic issues, is what you can call civic power, right? And civic power takes a number of forms that we name, none of which are kind of new to anybody, but the naming of them is important because the naming is part of that literacy, that fluency that I was describing. That civic power takes the form of the power of people, the power of ideas, the power of force and muscle, the power of social norms and our attitudes and our ability to determine by norms what's okay and what's right and what's not. Our power of the capacity to activate state action, to move government. There are all these different sources of power, and what we teach in our work at Citizen University is a set of laws that govern the way that power flows in our lives. And you know, the word that I fixated on when we were hearing Carrie Joy's poem, that word innate, was really key to me, because one of the fundamental lessons we teach about power is that power is a gift.
So over these 3 days, you're going to hear examples and conversation of people using these kinds of power and getting more, and all of us getting more fluent in power. I really like when he talks about power fluency. And we need to arm ourselves with the information we need to advance the agendas we so strongly believe in. Now, part of the people power is understanding what the people think. So 4 years ago, we started a public opinion survey called Pulse, and the new one was just released. And I want to just share with you some of what's on Coloradans' minds. Most of it won't surprise you. So this is a busy slide. I'll give you a simpler one to read in a moment. But this compares from 2020 through today, the topics, and the final column tells you the difference. If there's a dash, it just means we didn't ask that year. So of course, COVID dominated in 2020. And now we don't talk about COVID anymore. One of the things that is concerning, that is also, I think, evidence that it's more of a moment than a movement, is the concern about social justice and racism is lower than in 2020. One of the things that surprised me most was about government, I can't read it from here, government dysfunction and political and politics that has gone down over the years. I was like, what? I think that's a strong driver. So here's another way of looking at it. In the order that Coloradans said the things were important to them. So you can see at the top, cost of living, inflation, housing, those two things, of course, go together. Government politics, still at the top three. The unhoused, particularly I know in urban areas. Crime. So these are the things that are in Colorado's mind. So now you get to, okay, so if only 1% people are worried about social justice and racism, Colorado Health Foundation, then why is that your focus? It's because we're in it for the long haul. That's why it's our focus. Because we know that it is at the root of almost everything else above it. The discrimination, racism and racist practices are at the root of so many of the other things that cause the disparities we see in the folks that all of us work with and serve and live among. Now, the next session after I complete, we're going to be in a conversation with another foundation president and a researcher, Dr. Doug Easterling, and we'd commissioned a study around what are other foundations doing? What's it mean to be a foundation trying to be an equity-propelled foundation? And the article that he ended up publishing was called The Yin and Yang of Equity-Centered Philanthropy. So we're going to talk about that. And one of the things he says in there is that for foundations or philanthropy, your money and your mouth both matter. That it's not enough just to use the power of your purse, but you have other power that you can bring to bear in creating change. Some of the examples that Doug gave, and for us, policy and government affairs. Working in the policy arena is not necessarily about the money. It's not about service delivery on the ground, but it's about changing the conditions in which you would be doing service delivery and hopefully reducing or even eliminating some of the services because of policy. That's us using our mouth, our influence. We are attempting to shift the public discourse around social justice and around the communities that you all live in and that we serve. We haven't. I would love to wish I could say we figured that out, but we haven't. But it doesn't mean we're not going to keep trying. Capacity building, leadership development, giving wellness grants. Even that's some money. Giving wellness grants. Some of you might have been recipients of a donation to use for wellness for your staff, because we know in this time that is so important. So there's so many examples. And emergent issue response. We don't have a priority around gun violence or community violence, but it is something that is topical and emerging. So we have been engaging with the state, with communities, understanding how gun violence affects BIPOC communities, affects low-income communities. And that's something we will continue as it becomes more and more troublesome for a lot of folks, or I say worrisome, not troublesome. Another emerging issue, I'll give you just a very discrete example. Friday, I was getting my nails done. I was watching the news, and I saw a news article about a Denver, a county near Denver, I won't say which one, where there's an organization called The Place that for over 20 years has been serving unhoused youth, particularly unhoused LGBTQ youth. And they had gotten plenty of money in past years from the county commissioners. And the county manager had taken a slate of grantees to get money to be approved. The Place was on there. The county commissioners did not ask a question about any of them except that one organization. And conversation was twofold. One, there's no such thing as homeless youth. We don't have homeless youth. They're either with their parents or they're in DHS. And someone else said, you know, I worry about their values and what they could be teaching our kids, which don't exist, right? Teaching the kids that don't exist, because they said they'd made some comment about abortion. So I go home, I look it up, you know, read about it on the laptop, and then I emailed a couple of folks in the office and said, we just need to send them this money that the county denied them. And so we did. I called their director over the weekend, said, we want to support you. We'll send you every penny that the county denied you. And we know this is a traumatic event for you and the youth to be so dismissed that we're going to send an extra $10,000 for you to do something fun for wellness and for healing of your community. So those are the things we kind of look out for. And then, as many of you know, we made some public commitments around our work that are things we could, you know, they're easy to count, but it doesn't really go to our impact, as the board keeps reminding me. These are good things to show, but it doesn't really tell the story of our impact. So we made a commitment around the diversity and inclusivity of our board. And so you can see 2021 and 2022, that difference is the difference of one person. We talked about wanting to have an hour of our endowment, by 2025, 25% of it invested with minority or female-owned investment firms, or those that had women and BIPOC folks in the decision-making role. You see, we were 13% in 21, 2022, we were 19%. I'm happy to report we are now at 29%. So the reward for the investment team in beating that goal so early is they get a new goal. They get a higher goal. So now I think we're going to try to aim for 40%. We wanted at least 50% of our new funding to go to organizations that were serving at least 50% of communities of color. You can see the difference there, holding strong there. We wanted at least 25% of our funding to go to BIPOC-led, BIPOC-serving organizations. The difference between 20 and 21 and 22, in 21 we had a special initiative that we did not offer in 2022 that we are offering in 2023, so the 23 number will go up again. And for our capacity building, we wanted 50% to go to BIPOC-led, BIPOC-serving. And again, those numbers are for the same reason, because the initiative that we did not offer this year was a capacity building initiative. And then our staff. This is the makeup of our staff at the end of 2022. So I hope that helps you understand those of you that don't know us that well, a little bit more about us. And for those of you who've been engaged with us and working with us and partnering with us for years, I hope you learned something new or were reaffirmed in what we're doing and where we're going and how we're trying to work with you to achieve our common goals. Okay, now, we got a great lineup for you today, tomorrow, and Friday, so you don't want to miss a thing. I do want to, one thing I wanted to just clear up. When she said, from CLC, said leave it at the end of the event, leave the little iPod at the end of the event, she didn't mean Friday. She meant every day, because they have to be charged every night. So leave them at the end of the day. So this morning we've got a keynote and a panel discussion, lunch. We've got 5 sessions this afternoon, which I think is on the next slide. And then there's all kinds of activities for you to do in the afternoon. And you can use the microsite. You can scan the code. The microsite is Colorado Health at SW something. SWOG. Just use the QR code. Then we have our opening reception tonight, and we have a movie tonight. We'll be upstairs towards the end of the reception. That's The Smell of Money, and then we'll have someone there to debrief and talk with us about that. This is about you, it's for you. So we want you to be comfortable. We want you to feel that you belong here. So take care of yourself. We have plenty of breaks. There's always great food, opportunities to replenish your body. But if you need to replenish your soul, you need to go have a woo-saw moment. You know, there's plenty of places around for you to do that. There's coloring out there you can do if you like to color. So take care of yourself. But we want to make this a place that you want to come back to. And you're not only participants, but you're neighbors for the next few days. You're seat neighbors, we're all living in the same environment. So give each other grace, be kind to everybody. All the things that we know you do every day in your communities, don't stop now. This afternoon, these are the 5 sessions. It's hard to pick, I know. And then something new we're offering this year, because we were not, for 2 reasons. One, we were not immune from the Great Resignation. And so we decided to embrace it. And I can promise you that the people that we've hired are equally as wonderful as the folks that left us to either continue their careers in ways that we couldn't offer them at the foundation, or were seeking a different kind of work-life accommodation that we couldn't provide to them. So there are a lot of new faces, and we know for those of you that are in nonprofits that when a program staff changes, that can be disruptive to you. You've got to introduce someone else to your organization. And so we want to, number one, have you meet as many of the staff as you can. Most of us, I think all of us are wearing a name tag, so introduce yourselves. But then we've also, this year, offering office hours with our program staff. And there'll be 4 times, 2 today and 2 tomorrow. There are a few seats left, so if you go, use the QR code and go into the microsite, you can sign up for them. We ask you to only sign up for 1. And so this will be opportunity if you're gonna to either reconnect with the program staff that's still with us that you already know, or to meet someone new if you have a new person. Okay? So I want to, there's just so many people to thank, but I want to thank all of the Colorado Health Foundation staff, particularly our comms team, who spend many hours preparing this, and other staff who help in selecting our fellows, who selecting our afternoon sessions, who are here to at the registration desk, the timers for us. So, and we've got photographers and translators, and the staff here at the convention center, the conference center, are just outstanding. We have never had a bad experience with the folks that are associated with this conference center. So with that, I'm going to move us into our next session,